What's on the docket for today?
We're gonna see if we can get it going X and Y.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
I thought it was X.
Welcome.
I thought it was X and Z.
No, Z's, Y is vertical,
This is for usually.
X is horizontal,
And Z is depth.
Z is
I
depth.
thought you said over there.
Last week, we left it off that we were beginning to make some changes or thinking about how to make changes to the server and to the client so that we could have movement on the X and the Y axis. Remember, X is horizontal, Y is vertical, Z is for depth. So we'll worry about the Z axis later on. For right now, for this project, for our Hello World project, what we want to do is be able to move one of those squares to the right and to the left, or up and down. We know that if we're all connected to the same server, we're able to see what other people are moving around in that environment, but it just moves the block to the right. Thinking about that, what do we need to do to make our blocks be able to move on both directions on the X-axis and the Y-axis? What is a step? I'm not going to say anything's a first step or a last step, because at this point, there's a lot of entry points as long as we get all of the steps accomplished. So what is a step that we can take to start moving us in the direction to be able to change the movement axis in the X and Y direction? Okay, but on the client or the server? Okay, let's start with the server then. So all the movement, we got two main files that we were working with on the server. One was index.ts, which nothing's going to happen. I should launch my server and to Colyseus and start, oops, npm start. Oh, I got to go to server. There we go. Okay, so we're up and running. It launched the index.ts and everything's as we expect to see it. This is definitely one of those cases where having dual monitors is really nice, so that you could have the server on all the server files on one monitor and all the client files on the other monitor. It just makes editing something like this so much easier, but we'll make do with what we have with our laptops. Yes. Okay, so all index is really doing is it's loading the demo room. Everything else is just defining things. So I'm going to go on over to demo room. Now, yesterday, I spent a little bit of time playing with this. The easiest way to do something like this is just to copy it. So we already have this on message move right, change the state of the entities for the client session ID .x and add 1. So if we want it to move left, we would subtract 1, right? So that's what I did. I just copied it. I took out this broadcast hello because all that's doing is sending back hello. So that takes care of my X-axis in theory. We haven't tested it yet. But in theory, that should get my square moving to the left or the right, depending on whether we send it a move left or a move right command. Okay, so, and again, we're still on this, just the server. We're not on the client side. We're making the stuff that the server, how the server will respond when we send it a command. Right. So let's do the same thing again. I'm going to copy that and paste it. Instead of move left, I'm going to tell it to move up. So what do I need to change?
Y. Yeah, Y.
Dot Y. And that needs to be a plus. And then if I want to move down, negative, it'd be Y and still -1. So that should have the server responding. Now I want to show you this. I've got my terminal open here. When I save this project, node on your local system will automatically go through and restart based upon the changes that you just made. It'll also give you any error messages if there's a questionable compile. So makes life a little bit easier. So we've now configured the server to send a response back to the client based upon whether they receive a move up, move down, move left, or move right. So in theory, without doing any testing, our server should be ready to handle our basic early hello world, correct? So let's move over to the client. We need elevator music. That'd be great. You know, slow opening apps should play elevator music
While they're loading.
So that way they load slower.
Yeah, I need to patent that idea. Yeah. Oh, and a piece of advice as we start getting into larger projects, even if you're doing your own project and not sharing it with other people, it's a really, really good idea to go ahead and save your projects to your Git repository so that you've got version control and you can roll back personally. Anytime you start working on larger projects, always set that up for Git, whether that's whatever version. You know, the plastic SCM is really nice on Unity, Perforce, or GitHub. Everybody's using some kind of a Git, so it just having practice with that looks really good on your resume. It's one of those skills everybody expects you to have. And it's like, you know, addition. Can you do addition? Yeah. Yeah, be able to do it from the terminal makes all the difference. So just start practicing doing that now. It'll be rough to get started,
It sucks getting started.
but after a few months of using it, it'll become second nature. And then when you are working with another group that is using this, you're knowledgeable and you don't look bad.
Yeah.
Especially as you're doing an internship. There we go. Okay. Let's get into the client then. Now, I haven't done anything on the client side. All I did was play with the server side.
Yeah.
So together, we're going to start building the client.
Mhm.
Yes.
Were we supposed to have also run the server, or?
You should be having the server run. That's a great way to test things as we're going.
I didn't know if we were all joining yours.
Just
again.
local.
No, you're just doing local. You don't have, because I have not updated the remote server.
I see.
So we'll get everything working locally as you should before uploading it to the remote server where it's in production. So we're going to work with the Colyseus client on and start modifying that. So I'm going to go ahead and open that.
Can I do that?
There we go.
It'll open with visuals?
Depending what your preference.
Yeah.
program
Yeah,
is.
I'm on a Mac, so I've got mine set up. All of you people with your Unity fancy certifications,
Oh, so now we can use the.
now,
Oh,
yes,
okay.
yes. So I'm still in Visual Studio, but now I'm editing the Colyseus Hello World project, which is the Colyseus client under my assets folder. It's not the same one that's on my desktop. So different copy of it. Remember when a couple of weeks ago, when we copied everything over, copied all the assets? That's what I'm editing. I copied those assets into my Unity project. This is a copy of the stuff from my desktop.
Oh, right, because all these Colyseus client stuff is in the Colyseus folder.
Yes.
We just copied it, we didn't move it.
We copied, yes, we didn't move it, we copied it.
So if we royally mess this up, that's.
We have the original to go
we can
back
just
to.
delete it and start from scratch with the one on it.
Yes,
Gotcha.
yes.
Yes.
Good program. Always keep at least a zip of your
I wrote
original
that down,
files.
Steve,
It just,
I learned that the hard way.
yeah, anybody who's done this any length of time knows to keep a copy someplace of your files, just to lower your heart attack chance. What do we need to do, oh wise and powerful Unity associate certification people.
As a room full of X, I mean, we need to set up the send message to actually send.
Well, what do we need to do inside of a Unity project? What's the first thing we would do inside of a Unity project to handle key presses? That's the second thing.
Mess with the input manager.
Create a game object?
The input manager.
Oh.
Exactly.
It goes into update.
Well, let's go to the input manager. So project settings under edit and input manager.
Project settings?
It's under the edit tab. So
It's like
file,
in the
edit
computer
assets.
preferences.
Yeah, they move things around a little bit with 2020. Edit, project settings, and then input manager.
Mhm.
So we're going to change the horizontal. Negative is going to move to the left. Positive button is going to move to the right. What keys are associated with it? A, W, or AD. No, that's left and right arrows. Yeah.
Oh,
Our horizontal axis is correctly set. Left arrow, right arrow, A and D. We can jump then down to vertical. Negative is down, positive is up, S and W. Our input manager is configured.
yeah.
Okay, so our input manager is good to go. We're all right with that.
Yes, sir.
So going back to code,
This is in the client code.
yes, we're in the Colyseus client.cs.
Yep.
Now, previously, all of this was managed under the send because when we hit the send button,
It would do move.
that was moving it to the right.
So we might need a separate function for each movement.
What do we need? Oh, wise and powerful Unity Associate Certification.
If you key down. is something.
Well.
But would it be
Just have it
under,
a function and then have it check which key we're pressing.
so we need an update,
Yeah.
on update someplace?
So you say update.
What, I believe that was mentioned just a few minutes ago.
Do you want me to?
Say it.
Say it.
Okay, well, you could make an update method.
That's-
and Also, then in the update method,
Well, we want the server to do the moving of the box.
right, but you, inside your move box method that takes a direction, you basically just say, if the direction is up, send a message up. If direction is down. send a
Right,
message down.
based upon which key is on key press.
Yeah.
And the key presses are handled inside the update.
Right. So we need an update or on-frame update
Mhm.
that's looking for key presses, right? So we really don't need the void send message. So instead of just completely commenting it out, I'm just going to put the second quote there.
Wow.
Uh-huh, that's right.
Big brain, 200 IQ play. Put that.
So we need an on update.
Augers.
So what do I need to put in?
Just do void update or private void update.
Okay,
Close parenthesis and then opening bracket.
which then we get to start reusing our codes. That's the nice thing. So we need to check if the room is not, in other words, if a room exists or we're in a room, then we need to check if a key is pressed, right? So what are we going to do?
On key press or. yeah.
On?
We don't need
Uh,
it. Listener.
I think we should do, I mean, if we're messing with the input manager, the input dot get access or whatever.
Input,
The capital I.
Is it get access with a capital G?
Yeah. Get and access with a capital I.
Too tired to deal with input manager?
I mean, it would just be input dot get key or get key down or whatever, but
well, but since we've already got because eventually we're going to want to do VR.
yeah.
So we're going to want to use the input manager.
Right.
That's why I'm using input managers, because eventually
That way
we are going to make the
you
shift to
program
VR.
Everything.
Yes, I don't want to have to rewrite all my code later when I add in VR. Get access,
And then in parentheses, and then quotation marks horizontal.
Capitalized horizontal.
Just like it appears in the input thingy. Yes, that's the one. Just kidding, that's wrong. Because the get access is a float, not a Boolean. So we can check if it doesn't equal 0 or if it's greater than or less than something,
Okay,
which I guess is how we would have to do it. So if it's greater than 0, then we send the move right message. And if it's less than 0, we send the move left message, I think.
Yeah, because left is negative.
Technically, that if statement works, because if you're not pressing anything, it returns 0, and 0 is false. If you press something, it returns a number, which is true.
You're not doing anything.
no, I'm gonna make you struggle.
Oh, okay. No,
This is the learning process, you know, if you're not struggling, you're not learning.
If it's greater than 0, and then put the move right stuff in there, I guess.
The way I did it was, if it's greater than 0, move right. If it's less than 0, move.
So if it's greater than 0, we're going to send the move right.
But we don't need the hello world stuff.
No, we don't.
So,
So we don't need the custom data.
right.
So we can get rid of everything after move right, except for the following parenthesis and semicolon.
Right. Yes. So now we need what do we need next?
Else if checking if it's
Right. Not an if, an else if, or not an else. We need else if.
Oh, wow.
Start programming in too many languages. and it gets
Yeah, I'm
confusing.
thinking in Swift, so this is messing me up right now. Oh, right, that's not a thing.
Is this the equivalent of like if you ask somebody is bilingual what language they think in?
Right.
Like,
Yeah. They're like,
C sharp.
Yeah.
What do you know?
Sort of, kind of. Bold of you to assume I'm kidding.
And then we do our fancy copy, paste.
So instead of move right, it's move left like we had in the,
Mhm.
in this server side. So it's not another else if, because we're checking for a complete.
No, because we theoretically, I could be hitting A and W at the same time,
Right, oh, yeah, that's true.
correct?
That's true.
Sounds good. It sounds good to you. It's
I just feel like you're kind of playing the spectator role where you're gonna watch us and we're making mistakes. You're just they'll learn, you know?
yes.
Oh, okay, yeah, good.
I'm doing a more Socratic method.
Okay.
I'm drawing the knowledge out of you.
He's doing
You
the
overestimate
Reeves
our unity
method.
certifications.
Well, what I've learned over the many, many years of teaching is that if I just do it for you,
Yeah. You don't know.
you don't learn how to do that. And this is stuff that you've done, you just haven't practiced enough. So I'm giving you another opportunity to practice it.
Such a giving.
I am. I'm such a nice guy, aren't I?
Yes, because I think I might have missed something. Why exactly do we add schema every time? I'm looking in demo room and it says, schema data, like schema is a data type.
Well, the schema is updating what my current status is. And we may not need to send it every time. That's something that we should look up over the weekend or check the documentation on to see. But since it was there for the move right, I'm including it at this point. Once we have it functioning, I'm more than happy to remove it and see if it crashes everything. So in theory,
That worked. In theory, we should.
that might work.
Dude, if that worked.
Is the update function a keyword? I don't use it.
Yeah, void update is a keyword. So it'll do it on every frame
Wow. That's pretty cool.
or every game
And we can
cycle.
just leave send message where it's at, right?
Yeah, because
And so.
we're not doing anything
That's
with
what I'm
it.
saying. So whenever we're in the Unity and we have it playing, it's just gonna be listening for
Right.
WAD.
And hitting the send message isn't going to do
Yeah,
anything
and
now.
We're not gonna need to click this.
Right. So in theory,
Run Unity.
we compile our scripts.
Ah, there. Don't
Create
the
client.
other bracket. So we
Join or
should-
create.
Because we can add another
The
one.
right button.
Yep, that works.
And it just goes off into the distance.
So why would it be building speed?
This kind of works.
Kind of.
Goes one.
There's some problems, but it does kind of work.
I like how it works.
We don't want it to keep increasing in speed as we press on it. That's not a good thing. The continuous error on the room is not a good thing until we hit create the client and then join a room. So those are two problems that we have to fix, but they're problems, not crashes.
Right, move left, move up. Move down.
Because this call is not awaited execution of the current method continues before the call.
Are you using Visual Studio like Colyseus?
Yeah.
Are you in Visual Studio or Visual Studio Code?
I'm in Visual Studio.
Mine has the green screen, but it's working.
I mean,
The green screen leaves there just warning.
Visual Studio is doing more checks than what Visual Studio Code does,
yeah,
so don't worry about it. It's just a warning.
all right.
So, okay,
Other than that, I'm not sure what.
now, as I said, first of all, we wanted to check and see could we get it to work? Yes, we got it to work. Now we want to get it to work better. Now, the question was, do we need to be sending the schema every time? So let's find out. Coding by trial and error. I just commented out all the send schemas, yes. Create. What we're running into on the server is that we keep increasing this value and it never decreases or it never resets to 0. That's on the transformation, but that's staying as a static value. So we need to, after this routine is run, we should reset these to 0. Yes. We've got a few minutes left in class. What I'm going to assign is fix these problems. That's your next assignment. So Tuesday, I want to see just X and Y movement on your screen, both on the server and the client. We definitely have a problem with the velocity increasing. Okay, so project for Tuesday, fix the moving around, and we're just focused on your local server right now.
How do I undo that? It's Control Shift?
I'll probably go ahead and publish the demo room that we've got right as it is now to the server so that we can ping off of that on Tuesday, and you can test off of it as well. But your initial testing should be your local system. So keep working on that. That'll be Tuesday. Okay, so play with this.
Also, apparently killing.
Please use Discord, chat about the problem, work it out. Share what you learn.
Yeah, we're all on Discord.
I have to end up like my server.
All right.
Dead.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.